Okay, our audio is live. I hope everybody can hear us. And our video is live. If you guys can hear us, there's 7 of you guys online right now. So let me know how this sounds and if you guys can hear, if the image is clear or at least clear enough. This is streaming from Albanian 4G network. So I don't know how good it actually is. So hopefully.
Your link doesn't work.
Really? Maybe it doesn't work. Can you try it on the browser? Oh, you probably have to log in. I'm guessing you have to log into the app. So we are in Albania right now. We are specifically in the city of Tirana, which is the capital of Albania. We've been here since Sunday. So today's Thursday here, Thursday night. It is about 8:10 Thursday night. So we've been here for about 4-5-ish days. And we're going to probably spend a couple more days here before we leave. But we thought we'd go on live and just kind of chat with whoever's on right now. Sandra from Utah. Hi, Sandra.
Hello.
How are you? And as you can see, we're inside our van. And the kids are in the bed. We've got videos loaded on their phones or on their devices, so they're watching videos over there. So we can have a little bit of time to be adults and talk to other adults that are online. So wanted to see if you guys had any questions about our travel so far in Europe. We've been in Europe since middle of September. So 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2. So 5 months, roughly 5 months so far. And about 4 of those months, we were in Split. Almost 4 months, we were in Split, Croatia. And as some of you guys might know, we were there to kind of work out my temporary residency as a U.S. citizen, because Marlene is a Croatian citizen, dual residency, or dual citizenship. Sandra, thank you for sticking with us all these years.
Yeah, since the Airstream days, awesome.
Yeah, and it's been a long time since the Airstream days for us now, so I suspect a lot of Airstream, well, maybe not a lot, some Airstream followers are no longer following, because you know how Airstream people are. They're Airstream people. They're into Airstreams and nothing else. That's why they use the term SOB when they refer to other campers and trailers.
Well, that's the same thing for VW bus people. There's Sprinter. Everybody has their thing, and some
everybody's
people just want to see their type of vehicle, nothing else. So we appreciate for those of you that stuck around with our vehicle changes over the years. Yeah,
I mean, it's not that we don't have any loyalty to these brands. We love our Airstream, and we actually will keep it forever. And that is probably the only thing that we've committed to keeping forever. Obviously, we sold the truck camper. We sold the Casita. We're now in the Sprinter van. We like the Sprinter van. We're going to keep it for the foreseeable future. So we just don't know if this is also a forever vehicle. Airstream is a camper, is a trailer, so it's easier to kind of keep it alive for 50, 70, 80 years as some of these Airstreams have been. Well, maybe not 80 years. But some of them have been, well, close, 70-ish years.
Oh, hi,
Vita. Hi, RV Live. Hey, hello. Vita's on too. Well, so Vita is, he's on. Everybody say hi to each other if you guys in chat, seeing each other. Vita, RV Live, Sandra. We're going to see Vita and his family in probably about a month is what I'm guessing. So just so you know, I'm looking down here because that's where the computer screen is, and the camera's up here. I'm going to figure out a way to have the camera closer to the computer screen so I won't have to keep looking down. But Marlene's got chats on her phone so she can kind of follow. I'm using my phone as a hotspot back there, so I have to do this. Rachel, hi Rachel from Philly.
Hello.
Yeah, so this is Sandra's saying she loves watching videos showing the ancient ruins. It's amazing in Europe. People, I think it's a little misunderstood around Europe often that there's no history in the U.S. Yes, there's no Western history in the U.S. There's lots and lots and lots of Native American history. So it's totally different, right? So Native American history, they built stuff out of stone too. They just weren't as advanced, you know, until the Western civilization got involved. But to see Western civilization and also stuff that came out of the Middle East kind of spread out through Europe, it's been pretty amazing, the ancient ruins. So yeah, you know, end of February. So that's like, yeah, that's pretty much exactly a month. We'll see you then. We don't know exactly what we'll be at, but so Vida is from the Czech Republic, and he also just switched over to a van. He's got a family with 2 kids, 2 girls, and his wife, and we're going to be traveling with them through Greece and Turkey, hopefully, in about a month. So looking forward to that. That should be fun. We haven't really caravanned with other families in Europe yet because when our friends Bodeswells were here, we were living in apartments in our old village stone house. So, no, this is totally different. So, by the way, we're drinking Albanian beer. This is Elbar. You're drinking Depeya.
Going back to what you said about keeping the Sprinter forever or not, when you were signing the paperwork, when we were signing the paperwork at Mercedes, you said, we're keeping this car until we're dead.
Well,
you're scared of that price tag.
That was totally based on price, right? So when you spend so much money, I've never spent this much money on a vehicle. So when you spend so much money on a vehicle, yeah, you're going to keep it. You're going to try to get your money's worth. I've always gone by the rule of like 10 years. You got to keep a vehicle for 10 years. Otherwise, you're better off leasing. So we did pretty good with the first van. We owned it from 2007 until 2015. I would have kept it longer if we could, but we were forced to get rid of it. Some of you guys probably know the story. The trucks, you know, I got no excuse about the trucks. Those were just vehicles that we had to have for the types of traveling that we were doing. But this van, yeah, you know, I got to get my money's worth out of it, so I'm keeping it. At least for the next couple of years until the kids are too big, and then we'll try to figure out some way to incorporate everybody in the van, or maybe go back to a van and something else. We don't know. So, anybody have any questions about the countries that we've been so far? So, if we go back to middle of September, when we came to came to Europe, we landed in Copenhagen, layover for a few hours, and then we flew to Brussels from there, and stayed in Belgium for about 2 weeks, and then from Belgium, after we picked up our van, we traveled through Belgium, France, Germany, a little bit of Luxembourg. Well, there's only a little bit of Luxembourg. Slovenia, and then Croatia. So all those countries from Belgium to Croatia was like 3 days. I was just practically driving through. But Croatia, we spent a lot of time. We have a lot of videos on YouTube about that. After Croatia, we didn't do a ton of like central and northern Croatia. We pretty much went straight to the Dalmatian coast. But we know that area really well. And then after Croatia, we went to Montenegro for the first time, which was our first time.
I said that twice.
And after Montenegro, which is surprising, really awesome. Didn't know what to expect, but really awesome. After that, we came into Albania. And since Croatia, well, I guess since Belgium, it's gotten cheaper and cheaper. Every country we crossed, it got cheaper. So obviously, Belgium was the most expensive. Then Germany, Austria, Slovenia was cheaper. Croatia was cheaper. Montenegro was cheaper. Albania, right now where we're at, is by far the cheapest place we've been in the last 5 months. Well, longer than that because it's way cheaper in the U.S. So since Mexico probably has a similar like cost vibe as Mexico. wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Food-wise?
Food-wise, grocery stores are kind of expensive, but like food stands are cheap. So RV Live wants to know, now in the van for a while, do we wish we did anything different? Yeah, actually I do not. I'm pretty happy with how things are set up. I mean, there are things that I want to add on to that we just haven't done yet. Like this overhead cabinet, we have just kind of open space. I want to put something there to kind of secure it, because if I accelerate too fast, which doesn't really happen that often, some of these bags can fall down on the kids. And it's happened only a couple of times, and really that happens when it's not really pushed in there well. There is a little, like a inch and a half ledge that keeps the stuff up there. So I would secure that better.
The beds are...
Love the beds. The beds are perfect.
Area, this whole back part. The annoying thing is setting up this table, which is why we didn't make it a main focus of our build anyways, because we knew breaking down a table is annoying, and it is annoying, and that's why there's no table right here, right now. Right,
so initially we had a table that attached to the wall that was on a hinge that just had one leg over here. It was fine, but it was actually more wobbly than I liked. So we ended up putting standalone legs on it. So it just kind of sits in here perfectly. So kids can sit here and have a table to do work and do school. And then we can also use it outside. That's really nice. I don't know what other table situation would be better. You know, we've had these kind of swing out tables. They're not as solid. I love having a solid table that doesn't wobble. That doesn't feel like it might break.
Yeah, so the build wise, I think we're happy with it.
We're really happy with it.
One thing I forgot to pack to come to Europe is we got rid of our camping table, which we use every day. And I'm like, oh, we can just find another one in Europe. Yeah. But we haven't been able to, and it's just like, why didn't I bring it?
It's like your standard, like, polypropylene Walmart folding table with the metal folding legs. We're like, you can get those anywhere, but we don't know where to get them here. You can probably get them in Greece. You know, just because, like, once we left Belgium and Germany and France, and those are the, like, Western Europe is very, very much more connected, like, commerce-wise and also just economically speaking. So there are more stores, and it's easier to buy stuff on Amazon and get it shipped. When we're in Croatia, like, getting stuff from Amazon was kind of tricky. So, yeah, I mean, I'll get into it a little bit more. Let me see, there's some more questions. Vito wants to know, how's getting in and out of bed?
I bumped my head a few times.
Yeah. But I actually really like how, like, it doesn't feel that as enclosed as you might think, because we have windows all around us, basically, and then you have to do like a half shimmy. Yeah. And once you get your legs over the bottom of the bed, you just kind of duck your head and come out. So I still would do it exactly like this, just because I don't want to convert anything.
Ask us in a few years when we're older and we're going to be in more pain.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, decathlon. We went to a decathlon in Belgium, but we haven't found one here. Maybe there was one in Split, but we thought we looked in a lot of places in Split. But you know, you'll have to take us to the right places in Greece and let us know.
All right, we'll skip the question here.
Okay.
Life. Oh no, we answered that.
So Chris Edwards, hi Chris, how are you? Thanks for joining. You binge watched our van build the other day. Okay, awesome. That's awesome. Are you also building a van out? Yeah, right. That's what I'm thinking. No Croatia, no Albania. I think it's probably Belgium or Germany where we saw the decathlon. I think before we left Belgium, that last like shopping mall that we went to, maybe there was one there. I think that's where we bought our little like camp stove.
Emergency stove.
Yeah, because so before we left Belgium, we hadn't filled our propane tank yet. Just because we knew that we were only driving for like 3 days. And we didn't know exactly where to fill propane tanks yet because we were so new driving our van around in Europe. We literally got it from the shipyard that morning. Actually, we spent another night in Belgium before we drove away. Then we took 3 days. So by the time we got into Croatia, we had been in our van 4 days in Europe. So we didn't know what we would find. Now we know a lot more. So, okay, cool. So Chris also got a 4x4, the 144 shorter wheelbase. You're gonna love that. I mean, you probably already do. Well, you spent the kind of money we spent on it, I'm sure. So even if you don't love it, you're gonna convince yourself that you love it. But no, it's great. 144. I wish we had the convenience of the 144 when it comes to like parking and making U-turns and stuff, but it just wouldn't work for us size-wise. So.
But this has a better turning radius than we had in our
the
truck camper.
Yeah. Much better turning radius than a Ford F-250. What about the other van, the GMC Savannah? It was okay. The Ford F-250 was just terrible.
We're always towing the Airstream too, so I can't remember.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. So Albania, let's see. A beer, for example, this is a half-liter local beer. 70 Lex. We've been using... Albania has its own currency. It's called Lex. Albania is an interesting country because it's a really ancient country. It's been around a long time. And it's the language that they speak is like in its own branch of this like European language tree. So there's nothing else like it.
I can't even pick up words.
It's really hard to pick up words.
Croatian background, and I can't pick up anything.
And it's funny because they're right below Montenegro, right next to Serbia, Kosovo, which speaks basically the same branch of Croatian languages as Croatian. But yeah, Albania, forget it. Luckily, people speak enough English for us to get by. But this is the first country where we feel like total foreigners. Just because you don't understand people when they're walking around talking.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's going to be a lot of this when we go to Greece. We're hopefully going to go to Turkey also. So, yeah. 70 Lex, so the exchange rate is 115 Lex to $1. So a little bit less than $1 to 100 Lex, right? Yeah, 100 Lex is a little less than $1. So this is like 65 cents for a half-liter of beer, which is really cheap. It's pretty decent beer.
What about like our little souvlaki wraps, like fast food wraps in a restaurant? Like how much was that at lunch today? An average one.
So their fast food, you can tell from the difference between Croatian and Montenegro fast food, which is like sandwiches, grilled meat, and stuff. You definitely get a lot more Greek influence here. So you get like souvlakis and gyros and you know, like pita wraps. You get a pork or chicken pita wrap at the fast food place here for between 150 and 170 Lex. So that's like a buck and a quarter, buck and a half at the most. Sandra's asking how long do we plan to be in Europe? You know, it's been 5 months and we just started. So we've only seen really on the road traveling, besides Croatia, which we've been to many times, 2 countries. So we're hoping to see almost all, if not all of Europe, every country. I mean, it's not a goal, but, you know, it would be a shame to miss any. So it'll probably take us a couple of years. And Rezak2, love your adventure and quality of video. Thank you. I've been really trying to step up on the quality. And some of you guys probably know that I switched over to a Sony a7 III camera just before we came to Europe. Just because I know that if I wanted to switch later, it'd be difficult to buy a camera for a good price. Because electronics are always cheaper in the US to buy. So I upgraded to that, and I've been trying to do my best in trying to keep the quality up. And even like this video, for example, I'm using the a7 III with the Rode Video Micro, and I'm streaming from the HDMI out to the computer, and then using the computer to stream. So the quality of this stream should be much better than like a typical live stream that you use like a webcam for. Hopefully, in theory. Chris Edwards is asking, have you had to get any work done on the van in Europe? I was wondering if that would be harder or easier. Well, so one of the reasons why we got this Sprinter for Europe is because we were concerned that an F-250 would be difficult, if not impossible, to service while we're here, because that vehicle just doesn't exist. There are 4 dealerships, but they sell a completely different fleet of vehicles. So we've not had any work done. We knock on wood that we haven't had to get any work done.
We don't have any wood.
Well,
oh yeah, there it is.
Okay, we haven't had to get any work done. But I don't see that being a problem just because there's so many Sprinters here. There are a lot more vans here, like the Sprinter, but so far in this part of Europe, very few like campers. Right now, it seems to me like, anyways, most of the people that are in vans camping in Europe are in like Spain, Portugal, Morocco. Fewer people are on the east side. We're going to end up over there too, probably next winter, just because, you know, if we're going to try to do it all, we don't want to do it all in one shot, like just kind of blow through it. You could. People do all of Europe in 6 months. Like some people will try to see every state in the U.S. in 6 months. But that's too rushed. That's hard to do, and you won't see the places in the right seasons. So, you know, we're trying to take it slow. Darren Pearson. Hi, Darren. Has it been hard to find DEF? Very common. Diesel is more popular than regular gasoline in Europe, and they've required DEF in all their modern diesels. I don't know for how long, but for a good amount of time now. So DEF is actually sold everywhere. No problem with DEF. Actually, no problem with ultra low sulfur diesel either. In fact, I think that is required by most, if not all, the countries in Europe. So yeah, diesel is the way to go. And because we drive so slowly in Europe, the roads are smaller, the highways are smaller, and we're more cautious because, you know, we're in a different country. We don't want to get pulled over and get hassled and, you know, have to deal with police and tickets and all that stuff. We follow the speed limit really well, and then we really keep an eye on speed traps. And several times in Montenegro and also driving down Albania, we've seen cops like side of the road with their laser speed radar thing like pointing in the road. But I've gotten like 25 to 30% better fuel economy since we've been here, and I attribute that to either better quality diesel, higher cetane possibly, better refined, or just driving slow, or probably a combination of both. So let's see. Vita said, yeah, most people travel to Spain, Portugal. Yeah, exactly. That's what we figured. And
It's warmer for sure.
It's warmer, and here, if you want to get the same kind of temperature as Portugal, Spain, you gotta go to Greece and southern Turkey, which, I don't know. I think a lot of people are just not into it. You know, I think Albania, Turkey, and places like Morocco is much more foreign to, I think, even Europeans. You know, we've had this comment several times where people say, oh yeah, I'm from Europe. I've traveled all across Europe, but you're in a part of Europe I've never been. You know, so that's pretty cool. So I think it's pretty cool that we're seeing these places, and even people who are from Europe that have been traveling through Europe, lived in Europe their whole lives, don't really come out to these parts as much.
Or during off season, everybody's like, "Why are you here right now?"
Yeah, so Sandra's asking, how has homeschooling changed being in Europe? And what is your schooling philosophy? So, philosophy doesn't really change, right? But you can say what it is. Like, just kind of describe it, I guess.
We just do a mixture of what works for our kids at the moment. So we kind of cobble things together. Same thing we did we do textbooks. So language arts and math with apps and textbooks, and we try to do that every day, with at least a half an hour reading. On top of that, we have textbooks for science and history, which we're doing ancient history right now. And then we sprinkle real-time or real-life adventuring based on where we are. We'll learn about amphitheaters, wherever we are, that's what we're learning about today. So we kind of mix and match. And
there's not been the very like formulaic, very consistent like national park system that we've been used to in the U.S. In the U.S., like there's 400 and something national park sites that are all part of the system. They all follow the same, rules. Like there's junior ranger badges that you can go and earn at all of them, and all the rangers behave a certain way. You can go and get a book and learn about it. There's visitor centers. Everything here you just kind of have to figure out. So last week, for example, we're in a different city in Albania. We're in the coastal port town of Durrës, which is your kind of typical seedy, like port town. Marlene's from San Pedro, so some of those other towns near San Pedro, just like that, like Wilmington or, But there was tons of history there. There's a really old, like 2,000-year-old amphitheater that they just recently dug up out of the ground. And we go in, it's like, oh, how much is it? It's 300 leks per person. Oh, the kids, they can just go in, It wasn't like, oh no, here's the rule. They kind of eyeball you. So, oh no one's looking. Just take the kids in. So it was like $5 and change for all of us to go. And then you're just walking around, and there's all these like super ancient. There's this like room with 2,000-year-old mosaic tiles, just not behind guardrail or anything. Nobody else is there. And the other people there are just like taking selfies of themselves with their girlfriends or whatever. And there's a lot of trash in that part. Like the fence that blocks the amphitheater from the road is like an old beat down chain link fence. So there's just like trash that's been blown in. There's nobody there to clean it up. There's probably somebody that cleans up every now and then, but these poor countries, they have to spend their money in the things that are like really matter to them. So I imagine like even some of these buildings, government buildings, you just see like dirt and mildew and like mold and stuff building up, like windows aren't washed. There's not a guy who goes and cleans the exteriors of these buildings. It seems like, so that's just money that they can't spend. But I think ancient history-wise in Durrës, it was really amazing to see that. So the kids kind of got a kick out of it. And there was a archaeological museum that we went into. We weren't supposed to take videos at the archaeological museum or take pictures. Again, we're at the door. This lady didn't really speak any English. We're like, is taking picture okay? Clearly there was a sign behind us that says no cameras. We're like, taking picture okay? And she's like, no, but okay. So
we snapped a few.
We snapped a few. I may have taken more than a few with my phone, videos anyways, to be able to like string together at least a segment in the next video, the one that I'll put up about Durrës. So yeah, it's really cool. This was all like the Byzantine Empire, the Ottoman Empire, the old Roman. This area just was conquered and reconquered by so many different places. Sandra really enjoyed the video in the amphitheater. Thank you. So it's your video, right? Did I put a video? I haven't put a video of the amphitheater up.
I did Instagram stories.
Yeah, right. So your video. Cool.
Thank you.
RV Life, I mentioned your channel to a young YouTuber couple from Korea. Hope you can connect. You would be very inspiring to the younger group and older fogies, of course. Camping Car Hoa is their channel. Somebody in Split, wasn't it? Well, while we're in Split, somebody sent us a message and said, we just saw your camper, we just saw your van parked on the street, and then through Instagram, and then we looked at night, it was like a Korean couple. Well, I don't know if it was
No,
them.
might have been coincidence.
We're like, oh, hey, if you're here, let's hang out. Yeah, I was on Marlene. Hey, so Sandra's one of your 150
Thank
whatever
you.
subscribers.
I have notifications every time I get a new subscriber. Dad,
That's
I'm
killer.
152.
moving up in the world. Darren Pearson. Okay, what's the thing in your van you wish you had finished before you left, or wish you had not done?
I like that we didn't work on. We don't need to work on anything really.
No, we did everything. We got everything done to the point that we could be comfortable. We never expected to be in really cold temperatures because in the U.S. our MO has always been just drive south, go to someplace warm. If it's gonna rain, drive to a place that's not raining. If it's gonna be really cold, go to the coast where it's cooler or warmer or whatever.
Flip flops every day. That's our motto.
But that hasn't been easy because we're stuck in Split. It's cold here. If you look at one thing interesting about Europe, if you just compare the latitude of the continent, where we are in Albania, it's pretty far south in Europe. We're like at the almost near the bottom of the heel of Italy. So we're near the right across from the heel end of the Italian peninsula. But if you draw a line straight across in latitude to the U.S., we are. I think we're still in like Oregon.
Yeah, we're on the border probably of Oregon and California.
Yeah. So we're in like northern top of California latitude-wise. So it can still get cold there, you know? So we've not been able to get super warm. Yesterday was amazing. No, was it yesterday or the day before? We had like a day that was like 72 degrees. But it's been consistently like 30s and 40s at night, 50s, high 50s during the day. And we had a couple of really cold spells of teens, 15, 16 degrees. So going back to that, one thing that I say that I wish I had is maybe a diesel heater. And I've been really thinking about getting a diesel heater installed, but that's become less and less urge to get since the weather has gotten slightly warmer. It's not nearly as cold. We have a catalytic heater. We have the Olympian Wave 6, which works really well. The downside of that is there's no thermostat, so you can't just set it to a temperature and have it run itself. You gotta sort of manage it. So that, I think, if I were to add something, that might be the thing that I consider. But at the same time, the catalytic heater will use more electricity. And electricity has been somewhat tricky, just like how it's been for the U.S. too. When it's overcast and rainy or cloudy in the wintertime and the sun is below the horizon a lot, or it sets early, comes up late, you just have less opportunity to charge solar. So not having to deal with draining a lot of electricity by running like a furnace fan, that's been nice. And that's what the Olympian Wave 6 has allowed us to do.
And even if we wanted to plug in to get more power, it's really hard right now in the countries we're at in the off-season.
Yeah.
There's no campgrounds.
Campgrounds are all closed. And that's the other thing. The RVing lifestyle is nowhere near as popular in Europe. And we knew that before we came. Nowhere near as popular. There are a lot of people that do it, but compared to how many people do it in the U.S. and how much it's surged in popularity in the U.S. In Europe, it's like, in this parking lot that we're in, this is the capital of Albania. And this is pretty much the only place that you can like stay at in the city that lets you kind of walk around. There's no hookups. It's a dirt parking lot, and we're parked next to the city buses. And I was just saying this today. It's insane to think that in the capital city of a country where all the city buses that take their citizens around every day, all day, where they store their buses at night, every night, you're allowed to take your camper and park it there and just sleep in it at night. Like, this would never fly in the U.S. Just for like liability and security reasons, they would never just let random people sleep in the park. Like, they didn't vet us out. They're just like, hey, you want to park? Yeah, it's 500 Lex. I know it's 500 Lex for a 24-hour period, and that's like $4.50 or whatever a night. No hookups. There are some plugs over there, but I think those are for like the buses if they need to plug in. There's a couple of spigots with running water. So, we've been using that water to fill up, water to flush toilets or wash dishes or whatever. There is a bathroom up at the front that I think the employees use. So we just use our toilet, our cassette toilet in here, and then when it needs to empty, I have a place to go empty it. So for us, it's super convenient. We can walk everywhere. But yeah, it's, but there's no campgrounds open. We've not been able to get a campground to open for us that we'll plug in. We drove into a town in Montenegro in Budva, and we walked around for 15 minutes. Nobody came out. We just left. So, boondocking life. What are a few of your favorite small towns back in the States? Have you found any places you might want to call home in the future? And then, okay, we'll answer that. And then Sandra says, how has working been? Easy to get online and connect to work. Okay, that's a quick one I can kind of knock out. Working has been good. I'm working less. I'm doing about 10 hours of work a week now just because, I want to kind of treasure these next couple of years and do less work. But obviously, we still need to get connected. In Croatia, we got a phone plan for us, which is like $70 a month. And we have 4 lines, and each line gives us 10 gigs of data when we're outside of Croatia. When we're in Croatia, it's unlimited. So when we're outside of Croatia, it's 10 gigs as long as it's an EU country. So Montenegro was not an EU country, so I had to turn our phone off there. And then Albania is not an EU country. It'll be back in an EU country again in Greece. So in Montenegro, Albania, what we've been doing is they have these tourist SIM cards that you can buy for about $10 to $15, or 10 to 15 euros, I guess, roughly. And they give you 10 gigs of internet for that amount. It's kind of designed for tourists. So they even call it like a tourist packet. So you just go up to a phone store and say, hey, I want to get a prepaid tourist plan. What's your plan here? So we in Montenegro, we've been able to do that really easily. And I can do 10 hours of work easily on that. We also use a lot of internet cafes, and when we're staying someplace for a long time and there's no good place to camp, we've stayed in a few Airbnbs too, and then we make sure that an Airbnb that they have a place for us to park our van near so we can be close to it, and also we make sure they have laundry and we make sure they have Wi-Fi. So that's kind of how we've been managing laundry too. And showering, yeah. So around here, Airbnb in the off season especially, super cheap. Like we can get a 1-bedroom apartment with a fold-out couch that sleeps 4 people, and all 5 of us can sleep in it for like $25 to $30 a night. And if we just get it for one night every like 5-6 days to do laundry, or if we want to shower more frequently, we can get it for like a night every 3 or 4 days, and then we can get a place to shower and do laundry. That's only like $60 a week.
The nice thing is our mattresses are like single size.
The trifolds.
And so
they're super light.
For our third, one of the kids can sleep on the ground. We can bring our trifold mattress inside an Airbnb, and not have to pay for a place for 8 people because we're 5. Like we can still do a 4-person. Ask for permission, and they say okay.
Yeah. Okay, so for boondocking life, favorite small towns back in the States. Like we have thought about places that we might settle. We actually, before we left the U.S., we've owned some real estate. Even since we started 10, 11 years ago, we owned a house in Ventura, and we kept it for a couple of years just because, we didn't want to not have a place to go back at the beginning. And then when we sold that, we bought a condo that we rented out for passive income. And then when we thought we were done traveling, when Ava became a kindergartner and we didn't think we were going to homeschool yet, this is like 6 years ago now, we bought a house in LA. and we didn't end up moving into that. So we had our foot in the real estate market for a long time. But before we left, we sold both of those. Markets were really high. And then we bought a place in Cave Creek, Arizona. So if you guys know that area, it's like north of Scottsdale, north of Phoenix, like as you're driving up like towards like Cottonwood. We never thought that we would like the greater Phoenix area, but that town we kind of really took a liking to because we spent some time there. Our Airstream is there at our friend's property, so I don't know if we'll ever live there, but we own a property there that we Airbnb, which is cool.
The cute little towns like in Arizona, you like Bisbee.
Yeah.
Bisbee's
really cool.
We've been going there pre-kids.
Some little towns that I really want to check out that we haven't spent as much time, which we really enjoy. Like let's just say Arizona specifically. Jerome was really cool. I wish we spend more time there. We'll probably go back when we go back in the U.S. And Prescott, I think, is pretty cool. We just didn't spend as much time there as I would have liked. And in California, like, we spent a ton of time in the winter in California when we're back visiting family in Joshua Tree. Yucca Valley, Joshua Tree, Pioneer Town.
We'll probably buy property in that area once we get back.
We like the desert. If you haven't noticed, we like the desert. We like mountains too, but Marlene's really adverse to cold.
Driving in snow.
Driving in snow. But we've been owning 4x4 vehicles. So we should be fine, but...
That's for sandy
But I
beaches.
wouldn't mind... Yeah, that's true. That's from Mexico. But I wouldn't mind having, some place in, like, Montana, Wyoming, in the mountains. Maybe we consider McCall, Idaho. We drove through McCall when we came down, like, the Snake River, coming down from... When did we come through there? We came to, like, Moscow. Then we went down through Lewiston and Clarkston, like right along the Washington-Idaho border, and we came straight down that way. And we drove through McCall to get down to Boise, and I thought McCall was really cool. And I thought McCall would be a really cool place to own, like a ski condo or something. But we didn't end up pulling a trigger on getting something like that. But mostly we've been considering the West Coast. But as we're driving across to the East Coast this time around, I felt like I've always liked Tennessee, North Carolina, And I had the same kind of great feelings again as we're driving through there. We drove through, like, skirted across Knoxville to go back to Smoky Mountain National Park, and then we drove through there and visited a new friend in Asheville, and then we went to the Outer Banks and to see our friends that we met in Mexico in the Outer Banks. Drove through a lot of these small towns, and those are all places that I would want to look into more. But as far as East Coast, it would be that region. Nothing in the Northeast, nothing in the Southeast, but like Mid-Atlantic. As far as like middle of the country goes, Tennessee, North Carolina, Eastern Tennessee, and then probably Western North Carolina. Our friends live in Kansas, like they love it, but we drove through some really scary looking clouds.
We were just talking about that last night.
Yeah.
Let's not do that again.
Here, gasoline version. Okay, cool. Well, I've actually also been keeping an eye on these like cheap Chinese diesel heaters and seeing how they the quality lasts long term. I don't know if spend this much money on a vehicle, you want it to be nice quality. You don't want to drill holes and install something to have it not work out. So yeah, I agree. Like Esbar, Webasto, those are the ones to go. And sure, a lot of these places, like trying to get something shipped to Croatia was really tricky. I know that these places will say that they ship worldwide, but what you don't realize until you're in places like Croatia is that the shipping, their equivalent of like the UPS and FedEx guy, they can be shady. Our friends who live there have said many times that he'll get a package and he'll open it up and there'll be stuff missing. And the package has been opened and taped back together. And for a couple reasons they do this. One is that you pay 25% VAT, which is their sales tax in Croatia, and also whatever the import tariff is. So it could be crazy expensive to the point where you buy something from another country shipped to Croatia that you end up paying double. You paying more than what you actually pay for the product in taxes and import tariffs, to the point where it's not worth it. And also, people will just steal your thing. Like our friend Sala said, yeah, I ordered these flashlights and they showed up and I opened the box. It was empty. Like these guys literally stole stuff. So when we ordered a few things from Amazon UK, I was worried, you know. So first of all, it took a long time to get there. And second of all, like Amazon Prime doesn't give you free shipping there, so you pay for all the shipping. And then when they say they'll get there on a certain day, sometimes it happens, other times it doesn't. And sometimes they'll actually knock on your door and say it's here. Other times I'll just see, okay, it's going to deliver today, and I'm sitting in the in the apartment in Split, waiting, refreshing the page, and then boom, suddenly it says, delivery attempted. I'm like, what? I'm sitting right here this whole time.
But we also had a good FedEx guy or whatever the delivery system was, where he left his phone number, and so
one package was good.
And then he's like, 10 minutes before I show up, I'm gonna call you, so make sure you guys are home. I'm like, that's awesome. So he called me up.
Yeah, and it's tricky too because in Croatia, where we were, the address of your apartment is the address of the building, and then when they walk into the building, they look at your name, and if it's not the same name as what's on the buzzer on the wall, then they don't know who to deliver it to. So, yeah, so Vita can agree. Shipping in Europe is tricky. So, you really don't know what you miss about having Amazon Prime, easy package delivery. Even with all the porch pirates that are stealing packages from your house, from your doorsteps, it's something that you should be glad that you have the opportunity to have such amazing and easy, access to products and the prices that you can get them. So yeah, I mean, my best bet, I think, for like a diesel heater is when we get around to the UK, which I think will be probably like October, November. Well, actually, we'll have to be back in Croatia in October to renew my residency papers. Either before October or after October, we'll be in the UK and try to get a diesel heater installed in the UK. Even though, RVing isn't as popular of a thing in Europe, generally speaking. It's popular in the UK, and it's popular in Germany and Switzerland, in the countries where people have more money. But vans are really popular. Van conversions are really popular, and it's actually way cheaper to buy a van that's already done in Europe than it is in the US. You guys know how it is in the US for these Sprinter van conversions. Now they're asking north of $200,000 for an outside van, or some of these high-end brand name van conversion, van Sprinter upfitters. But in the UK, it's commonplace everywhere. So I'm hoping I'll be able to find a guy who can get an S-Bar or a Webasto heater for a good price, because after all, they're made in Europe, and have them install it in our van, and then just have that for next winter when it gets cold. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. Let's see. Yeah. So
you used to go to work every 6 weeks and used to shave your head.
Oh yeah.
Before you used to go to the office.
This is really long. Well, this is really long for a couple reasons.
You look wiser, for sure.
Right. I'm going with the Confucius thing. So this is really long for... So also, for those of you that don't know me personally, I'm not growing a goatee. This is not me growing a goatee. This is all the places where I grow hair. So this is what's happening. I got some long stuff happening here. And this and this. A couple of reasons why I haven't cut my hair. I think I last cut my hair before I did the interview to get our residency papers, and that would have been in November, something like that.
Yeah.
It's been 2 or 3 months. I got hair clippers. I cut my own hair. So, hey, indie project, Webasto Airtop Evo 40. Okay, cool. We'll look forward to that video.
Awesome.
And then you guys can probably give us some tips on where we can buy it for a good price. You know, you're the experts around this part of the world. So, anyways, my hair clippers. I usually cut my own hair. My hair clippers are 110 volt. So I can't just take my hair clippers, plug it into the wall at the Airbnb, and cut my hair. I have to do it at the van using my 110 volt inverter. So when I'm just in the parking lot, it's weird for me to plug in and like just cut my hair in the parking lot. And I don't really want to do it inside.
Or you could just buy a cheap hair, Dan.
Or I can buy...
Or go to a barber shop.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. So, yeah. This will be taken care of soon. This is the problem when you don't have office visits. You don't have to go see anybody else but your family. Yeah, we are here actually with, there's another couple that we met in Mexico 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. They're called Hair Ventures on Instagram. They were just a couple then. Now they have a child. And they're actually 2 spaces or 3 spaces over from us. Their van anyways. They're currently in an Airbnb. So they've been gracious enough to let us shower there yesterday, which is cool. And we're going to go hang out with them again tomorrow. And then we'll leave the following day. I'm not sure exactly where we're going to go. But right now I think it's Barat will be the next town that we go.
Still in Albania.
Plan. Still in Albania. Mm-hmm. We're thinking about spending another, possibly a week in Albania before we leave. And then after we leave, we'll either go into Macedonia or Greece, most likely Greece. And then from there, we're going to try to kind of go straight east into Turkey. And got to see about all the logistics of entering Turkey. And try to go see Istanbul, which is big city. And from Istanbul, we'll probably go even a little further east, across the bridge into Asia, the Asia side. Istanbul, fascinating city. I really want to see it. Half of it is in Asia, half of it is in Europe. So we can legitimately say that we drove our car on 3 continents if we go to Asia. So Istanbul, we want to go to the east side and then drive about 600 miles, or I don't know how many miles. It's like a 2 or 3 day drive the way that we drive to Cappadocia. That's the
really awesome.
Really famous, like these little mushroom-looking formations, and where people like fly hot air balloons. They're famous for the hot air balloon rides. But I've just seen so many pictures, and I really want to go. So looking forward to that. But yeah, that's a really rough plan right now. And after that,
back to Greece.
Back to Greece, and then we'll spend probably part of March, a good part of April, if not all of April, in Greece before we start going up. And by April and May, hopefully places north of here would have thawed out, and we'll be able to start going through, you know, places like Bulgaria, Romania, Slovakia, Estonia, Lithuania, and then the thought right now is from Estonia, we'll take a ferry from Estonia to Finland, and then from Finland, we'll do the entire Scandinavia this summer. So that should be really cool. Boondocking Live asks, have travel expenses in Europe been pretty close to what you were expecting? How does it compare to your travels in the States? So far, travel in Europe has been way cheaper. Way cheaper. It's like Mexico cheap. Just because we're in these countries that are cheap. Not because, like, it's cheap everywhere. I'm saving my pennies for Norway. Because Norway is going to be extremely expensive from everybody that's been telling me, from all the research that we've done. So we're expecting Norway to be like 2 to 3 times what it costs to be in the U.S. Here, it's about half of what we're spending.
And it's like the lifestyle.
Cafe culture is big here, and all of the Adriatic coast is big, and obviously other side of the Adriatic in Italy, it's big. France is big. Not big in Germany, I don't think.
I don't know.
Let's see. Coffee today, a shot of espresso was 80 lex, which is like 75 cents. Marlene had a pretty big latte macchiato. It was 150, so it was like $1.30. And we sat there for like an hour, cruising their Wi-Fi. Kids played in the playground in front of it for a little over $2, which we're just sitting at this coffee shop and it's like $2. Like a shot of espresso in the U.S. would be like $3.50 easily. And I pay like 75 cents. So. Oh, cool. Indie project. They're going to be in Scandinavia.
Oh, cool.
Awesome. Definitely connect. Love to see you guys. So, yeah, it's been super cheap. And I think it's going to be a little bit more expensive in Greece, from what I've heard. Maybe similar to what we're paying here, Montenegro, Albania, in Turkey. I think Turkey's pretty cheap. My big thing about Europe was how expensive fuel was going to be, which it is. It's about, I think we're paying like between $6 and $7 a gallon of diesel, but we've been driving very little. For the last month, basically, we've gone 300 miles.
Good job, Dan.
So this is a little bit like, for those of you that are on sailboats, or if you're familiar with sailing, yeah, it's like you take a month to go like 300 miles down the coast. And then a month later you realize, oh crap, I forgot something at the place we were at a month ago. You could just drive there in a day. It's not a problem. So fuel hasn't been a problem. But then again, there's going to be more driving later when we start driving up towards Scandinavia and then doing the loop. So it'll be more money spent. But at the same time, like Europe is smaller. Like much smaller than the United States. So I'm not expecting to pay a ton more money in fuel, even though it is more expensive. So I also hope that it's going to be same price on fuel, even in expensive countries like Norway. So
in the beginning you were saying how where we're from, I'm sure it's close to $5 a gallon there.
Well, plus when you're on the highway in the United States, like you go 55, people are like zooming past you. Like you feel guilty. You feel like you're holding people up when you go 55. It's not a problem when you're driving in the middle of nowhere and nobody's around you, but constantly getting passed by cars, constantly getting passed by big rigs. When you're tall in a Sprinter van 4x4 like this, and then just like a big rig goes past you going 80 miles an hour when you're going 55. That's not fun. So then it's like, okay, let's just be like with the flow of traffic. Then we end up going 70, right? Just so that we don't get passed by as many people. But then you're burning diesel. Like you're spending way more money in fuel. So yeah, it's been really great, like cost-wise for fuel. Darren wants to know the name of this beer. This is called Bira Albar. So this is a Albanian beer.
I got a
Peja. This is 70 lex for half a liter, which is like 60 cents. This is 74 lex for half a liter.
Cheers.
Big roller. Big roller? High roller. High roller. So, okay, 22 watching now. We've actually had a few more people join, but if you guys have any more questions, feel free to chime in the chat here. We'll do our best to answer. We're going on about an hour and 4 minutes, and my computer is doing its best to keep up. Plugged into my 12-volt battery charger, and it's still draining. So we may have to call it pretty soon. Okay, Boondocking Life. How are you typically finding your campsites over there? Okay, good question. Overlander does have stuff here, but we don't use it at all. We use what's called Park for Night, and I think Vita and Indie Project can attest to this. if they're still both on. Park for Night, the number 4, is by far the most popular way to find campgrounds, boondocking sites. Wild camping is what they call here, just all across Europe. It's for the most part user contributed, but there are administrators and people that kind of run the back end that monitor and sort of maintain the quality. So it's really thorough. That's how we found this place. In fact, that's how we found all the other places that we've been. It's on an app called Park for Night. There's a free version that you get everything basically for free. There's no like data missing in the free version, but you can also pay for a subscription, which we pay for a year. It's really cheap. I don't know, 10, 15 euros or something for the year. That lets you use offline. So you can say, I'm going to be in this region, download the map and all the data to save it on my phone locally, so when I don't have internet, use it offline. Kind of like how iOverlander does. So you pay for that. But if you have internet, yeah, it's easy to find that. And it's really nice. There's some cool features, like the paid one also lets you say, okay, I'm going from point A to point B. Let's see what places are along this route. So it'll plot out everything that's within a certain distance from your route. So that's been really cool.
And saving offline is key when you cross a border. Like when we cross into Montenegro, our phone doesn't work. We have to find Wi-Fi. It's like to not have to worry about Park for Night and where we can camp.
Yeah, just so that we can get to a place and then figure out the logistics. That's kind of what happened in Montenegro. We picked a spot. It's a little tricky too because without knowing it, you don't know if it's a place that you want to be at. Then you go there, you park there. Like Montenegro, when we first got there into Kotor, and we're like, is this where we want to be? There's a lot of trash here. There's like only a couple cars. Sometimes it's like it's great when there's nobody in the parking lot if it's secure looking. But when it doesn't look too secure, you actually kind of want to have more campers and trucks and stuff there to kind of give you some strength in numbers. But in that particular case, first night in the new country, boondocking, yeah, it was nice to be able to know exactly where we're going. And for some reason, I have European map loaded on my Garmin, which is also key, because without data, you know, if you forget to cache like directions on your phone, on Google Maps, I fall back to the old school, like offline Garmin GPS mode. It's, I don't have detailed maps in Albania. I had them in Montenegro, and it looks like I will have them in Greece again, but Albania, I don't have them. That's tricky. So, yeah, that's how we find campgrounds. Other tools, other than Park for Night.
There's another one called like Camper Connect. Like I
downloaded
it, and you have to pay. And I was
well, there's also the ACS. Is that what it's called? ASC or ACS? It's like a membership. It's kind of like
Thousand
what's
Trails.
the one? Well, not Thousand Trails. What's the other one?
Sam's Club.
Good Sam Club. It's like Good Sam Club in the U.S. That one is like a camping membership affiliation. Like a lot of campgrounds are affiliated with it, and they'll give you like a discount. They'll set a max that they'll charge you. I believe that's only valid for like off-season stuff. Like high season, it's free for all. You know, like
I'm scared of the high season. I'm scared
ACSI.
of
Thank you,
the
Vita.
crowds.
Yeah, we're scared of the high season. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm thinking there'll be a lot of people going to Scandinavia like we are. I mean, I know that sounds like the indie projects guys are going to go, but a lot of people come to Croatia. A lot of people come to the Adriatic and anywhere along the Mediterranean. And, you know, because it's nice to go swimming there. You know, it would be nice. But hopefully not as many people go to Scandinavia. So that it will be nice. And also, most, if not all of Scandinavia, you can just pull over to the side of the road and camp anywhere. So I think that's going to be fine.
Yeah.
I'm not too concerned about that, but my main concern right now is like cost and, you know, just other logistics. How much food can we pack into the van so we don't have to do any shopping once we get into Norway?
No fruit for you for 3 months.
Yeah, and some of these countries you need visas to go through. So Turkey, we're going to need to get $20 a person, and it's pretty much instantaneous. But you still have to do it. And to get from the eastern side of Europe to go up to Scandinavia without taking a ferry, you have to drive through Russia. And driving through Russia, we kind of looked into it for a second. It's tricky. You have to use a tour company. They have to kind of sponsor you. They have to say you're there for a certain reason, and some of these reasons are really obscure. We're the Romanian barbershop quartet group or something. And then that's a sponsor, and you can go through. And you pay them some money. I don't know how totally legal it is, but we just decided to avoid that for now. Maybe we'll change our mind later, because I think it would be kind of cool to drive through Russia and maybe go to St. Petersburg, which is along the way on the coast. And we'll just have to figure out what that visa situation looks like. So, but yeah, that was good. I'm down at 28%, so maybe we should kind of wrap up.
Okay.
Well, if you guys don't have any other questions, we will wrap up this live stream. I want to thank you all for joining and all the questions that you had.
Yeah, thank you.
And I really appreciate it. And if you guys have any other question, go ahead and comment. I'll keep this video public, so you can add more comments to it. So if you're watching this later than the live stream, go ahead and feel free to comment as usual. I'll do my best to respond to all of you guys. So, Eva, do you have anything to say? Come say hi. Do you have anything to say? You have nothing? Eva or Mila? Luca, do you have anything to say to our YouTube live stream? No.
Oh, Luca,
Luca
always has something to say.
Come over here.
They can't see you because we turned off the lights. You put your phone down?
It's been long enough where my beer is getting warm. I just drank the last bit of backwash warm beer.
It's your own backwash.
Still backwash. Here comes Luca. Luca's got his dragon.
Yeah, come up here.
Come over here. Ava, are you done with your speech?
Ava?
You gotta talk louder.
I like How to Train Your Dragon.
You like How to Train Your Dragon?
Mm-hmm.
Did you always like that, or is that just recently?
Well, I just remembered it.
Yeah?
So...
You just remember that was a good show and you started watching it?
Mm-hmm.
And is it because Daddy downloaded a bunch of episodes and put it on your Android thing?
Well, I liked it. I didn't like it a long time ago.
When you were a baby?
No, like when I was 7.
You're not 7.
You're not even 7 yet.
In the future?
I mean 5.
Oh, yeah? And then you remembered? Now it's all coming back to you. Where's your little How to Train Your Dragon Kinder Egg toy?
There's 2 of them.
Yeah, the twins?
Really disappointing.
I don't know if your kids are like this. Buying chocolate, buying food just for the toy.
Kindle eggs, exactly.
Kinder Eggs, exactly. Ice. You'll have to save your Scandinavia money for Ice Creek. What's Ice Creek? Iceland? Ice Creek? Well, Ice Creek. I'll look it up. If that's a thing, then I need to go. I'm going. Do I have it? Is it? Don't fall, computer. Well, so I hope this quality of the stream is good. When I watch it back, I'll know. But this is our first time using this camera setup. But, it's cool because I got a little zoom capability.
This is the thing you get, but
Okay.
the most common thing for me is probably
You zoom it in.
Okay. Say bye.
Wait, I need to
Now you got him going. He's not going to stop.
I know. No, the battery is gonna die on my computer.
Okay, so come
Why
on,
is there a
buddy.
rock on your seat?
I really special ones.
It's up here.
Oh, he's trying to get to the light.
Oh yeah, this is your special rock. Is it your 2-color rock? No, this is just a piece
It's
of.
way more smooth.
This is just like a piece of rabbit poop rock.
I should have a rabbit rock.
It was on the seat. What's it doing on the seat? Okay. All right, so that's it. Say bye. We're gonna close the live stream. Well, thank you guys for joining
Bye,
us.
thank you.
I got 2 hiccups.
First live stream
I got 2
in the parking
hiccups.
lot next to city buses.
I got 2 hiccups, which is very disappointing.
Disappointing. Okay.
What's wrong with this?
All right.
Stop showing everybody your butt. Rico.
Bye.
Bye.
See you guys next time. Don't forget to. Don't forget to.
Subscribe, please.